Welcome, my name is Samuel James Price, the Crypto Lifer, and every single week I'm going to give you a macro analysis of what's happening in the broader markets so you can get a view. I know we spend a lot of time in the nitty-gritty, battling the 1 minute, the 7 minute, 15 hourly, and 4 hour and stuff like that, but let's take a zoom-out look approach at what's happening. If you were with me last week, I went over what was going to happen, and I broke down that the S&P was ready for a massive move to the upside. A lot of TradFi said no. A lot of people were telling us that we were actually going to get a move to the downside. Some of our most known analysts actually were super bearish, extremely bearish. Here's just a post to my Discord. This is a picture from the last screen share where I talked about the S&P was going to hit the 618 where it was at and get a beautiful bounce out of this cup and handle to the upside. That, in fact, did happen. Exactly as we predicted, we bounced off of the 618 back to the upside, showing signs of strength. There was hidden bullish divergence and other things of that nature. So this is the place to be every single Friday. I'm going to give it to you straight. You're going to be able to see what's happening in the markets. It's going to blow your mind. So let's look at Bitcoin on the weekly right now. Everyone is still somewhat bearish, feeling like we're going to dump, but the weekly still has pressure to the upside. No bearish divergence on the weekly, just crossing the dotted line. If you go to the weekly, every time we've done this on the all-time history index, this was the beginning of actually some bigger moves for Bitcoin. So it's not the worst thing in the world that we're heading into the overbought region. There's actually a lot of momentum in this area that could propel us further to the upside on the bigger time frame. The 2-week chart looks absolutely lovely, ready to blast to the upside. RSI looks good. Stochastics look good. MACD's ready for another rumble. And this just looks ready to rock. It broke above the resistance like we talked about. And everyone's saying, do we come back down and test 31,009, 31,008? And that's what everybody wants. We usually don't get what everybody wants. So I would heed you and caution you to think it may not happen exactly as people think, or we may go up before we go down or down before we go up. The 3-day chart is looking somewhat bearish today. If this closes in the next 2 days and 4 hours like this, but it doesn't mean it will. Right now, there is some buy pressure as the wicks have been pushed to the upside. You can see we've been bouncing off of this level. The algorithmic movement has pushed us further up. We are overbought on the stochastics somewhat. We are kind of high on the RSI, but no bearish divvy yet on the 3-day. If I put on my moving averages, though, we are too far away from the 21. My system tells me unless there's some insane, like we have a black swan one way, I called it a golden swan the other way. Unless we have a golden swan, something amazing, which I just coined that phrase. I've never heard it before, but the golden swan, something absolutely amazing. This should come down and reach this 21-day moving average. The white line should kind of creep in the next 12 days, and we should come and meet price action right here before a bigger move to the upside. That also is a bit of a Sammy cup and handy to the upside. Not saying that's guaranteed to happen. That's just what usually happens. But Bitcoin's been doing some things interesting. So this is what we're going to look at. We're going to take away this projection, and we're going to look at the daily. So I showed you that the weekly was nice. I showed you that the 2-week was good. I showed you that, things could be better or worse. But right now, look at the dailies in a rising wedge. Clearly broke down today out of the wedge, in my humble opinion, and wants to come to that 21-day moving average. You're likely to cover that. You have a point of control right there. Looks like you are going to lose it. And if you do, we could even head here. Now, I do see a golden cross. Doesn't mean we couldn't get a little dip before a bigger pump. And we could even make a dip here. We could dip down here, something like this, then dip back up, and then make a nicer ascending triangle. Like, it doesn't mean we're so bearish if we just come back down and touch this white line. But to me, you are supposed to retouch the 21-day moving average. That's something that I teach my students that you can backtest over and over again on multiple time frames. You retest the 21-day moving average. It happens a lot. And this bullish cross right here does tell me that weeks from now, like 3 to 4 weeks from now, we should definitely be higher than this high to the upside. But there is a little bearish divvy that it is forming. The RSI is getting spent, and price action has been, receiving some bearish tones. Even this morning, we had some dumps. So this says we will go continuously down. However, there's like something to watch. Whenever the daily gets really bearish, I'll watch the 22-hour time frame. And you'd be surprised when the daily doesn't reset all the way. Like I've seen the daily just go halfway. And this happened actually, if I go back into the past here for Bitcoin, and this area here, look, see the daily? I was waiting for it to come down along. It didn't. So I switched to the 22. And when I traded the 22 in this section, every single time the 22 hit the lows. And so I found that when the daily doesn't give me everything I want, I use the 22-hour for like a sly little, and honestly, it's an amazing little trick that most people don't know. And I'm giving you some alpha right now. The 22-hour time frame, man, shouldn't have told you guys. But you know what? I'm a nice guy. I could pass away tomorrow, and I'd rather let you know everything that I know. to keep you in the loop. Now, on the daily, you could almost say, are we still inside this? And are we making a bull flag? There's some idea for that, but then you would lose this level, but there's an idea that that's a possibility. If this is true and we are making somewhat of a flag, you would have to take this as the length of the pole and suggest that Bitcoin could easily get back up somewhere to 43,000 and then head up to the next big resistance up at about, $47,600, right? So this is something you have to be aware that could really happen. Like I'm set. I bought in a lot of Bitcoin spot. So if we go up huge, I'm going to make a boatload. And, I'm also setting up for how I can enter in on a proper leverage trade as well. So I'll be able to capture this move. I'm very, very confident of it. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. And the 4-hour right now is looking really bullish. And I have some other things that I want to talk about the 4-hour. But like right now, you could say that we're bearishly retesting. So you could say here, we did fall out and we're trying to get back in, or are we in a bullish megaphone? And so I'm open-minded enough to think, because the reason is when we fell here and lost that 50, we should have bounced and continued down and down. We did not. And so that tells me that there's just this, at the last minute, someone who's buying into Bitcoin, buying into the pressure. Now you could say, fine, we were in this ascending triangle, we left it, and we're back inside of it. That makes the most sense to me. We left it, we came back inside. I teach my students this stuff because this draws people crazy. Whenever I see something like this, I basically just take out this idea like it never happened. I erase it out of my head, and I just trade this exactly like it was before. So this is still on like it. I'm basically in the exact same mentality I was right here when we hadn't lost the pattern yet. And so right now, the 4-hour was bullish to me. And so it tells me that I should just go back to doing what I was going to do in the first place and trade this long with a stop loss lower than here. So right now, I like what the 4-hour is doing. It's looking for an aggressive move to the upside. It gets above this point of control. I don't see why it can't pop. So now I'm looking, and they got a lot of people to short today. So to me, this is really what I'm looking to trade on the 4-hour time frame. I'm thinking of actually entering this trade on the 4-hour pretty soon. More money, low leverage. So like $5,000 with like 10x leverage, something like that. $50,000 trade on 5x leverage. But the key is if we lose this level, start to milk around, I can cut it off or we'll come down, and I'm going to have my risk appropriate. But it's a 4-to-1 risk-reward ratio. I really like that. And we could even get higher than that target, but I would just like to get to 39,850. So the 4-hour looks really good to me. I have to be honest. And there's the feeling of hidden bullish divergence, because if I take this low and I swing it to this high, that's an uptrend, but this is a downtrend. And that's telling me that price action wants to continue to the upside. It's telling me that there's buy pressure. And I trust this indicator more than any other indicator in my life. I make the indicator. It's called hidden bullish divergence. Sorry, I don't want to move that. I just want to move the charts up. We could even bring it all the way down to here and couple it over here. And now you can see it's clearly hidden bullish on the 4-hour time frame. It's hidden because most people will never see this. Most people will short this and get absolutely annihilated because they don't know what hidden bullish is. I traded hidden bullish back here on the 8-hour, on the 4-hour. Right there we had it. When this was moving down, it was more apparent on the 8-hour. I even traded it on the 3-day, which I showed you guys many, many times. If you watch my live stream, I brought it up every single day from August 23rd and on. So Bitcoin's looking bullish to me on the 4-hour time frame. All right. The 22 as well. And even the 1-hour could come down or just get flipped. And right now the 1-hour had all this pain to come down, and it fought back above the 200 SMA. Now, if the 1-hour loses the 200 SMA, it's a wrap. But so far it has not. And now it's got a bit of a cup and a handle, and it could flip at any moment really to the upside. 1-hour, 15 minutes, kind of an indecision, but I'm not stressing the 15-minute. I would trade the 4-hour time frame throughout the weekend. To me, it could be our ticket to some massive gains. Again, there's a chance we just get stopped out and it doesn't go my way. These are just probabilities, but hey, I can't tell you how many times the probabilities that I put out there have played out, and it's happened many, many, many times. I'm known as Sammy Cup and Handy for a reason, but we'll see what happens. You never know. This also is kind of, a shallow cup with a handle, and I've seen this play out as a cup and handle, even though, you don't realize it because you got this, shallow cup. And it's almost better when you just draw it because you can match it a little better. And then you got this handle. Measured move is the whole length, wick to wick. Tells you that you're going to blast to the upside too as well. And I've seen this play out many, many times. So I took you from the weekly, the 2-week, all the way back down to the 4-hour and the 1-hour. I don't want to get too far into the nitty gritty. I want you to see the macro here and understand that there's still a huge chance here that Bitcoin rips. Now, what happens if Bitcoin doesn't? The 1-hour will lose the 200 SMA. We'll end up somewhere here. We'll bearishly retest one of these trend lines, basically one of these lines or even here, and then we'll head to the 200 SMA on the 4-hour time frame. We'll dump somewhere into this vicinity at about $30,000, and we'll fill the gaps and stuff. But again, that's not a guarantee. and we'd have to lose the 1 hour 200 SMA, which today we did. We went below it, but look, within the next 2 hours, we were back above it again. Then we use it as support, and that is very, very interesting. This is also kind of look a shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder that could push us to the upside. So I'm looking for a long right now on the 4 hour time frame, and I'm showing you it right now. And what I love about trading the bigger time frames is you don't have to stress tiny moves. You just set it and forget it, and it will do what it's supposed to do. So super exciting. That's awesome for me to see. Bitcoin does look somewhat bullish. And again, it could change by tomorrow or the next day. But right now, my outlook is to the upside for Bitcoin. We're going to talk about the dollar index. And if the dollar index is dumping, that's good for Bitcoin. If you were watching our, the last time I did this, I talked about this making, hopefully an M pattern and, double topping and breaking to the downside. That's exactly what we got. Awesome. We hit the top M. We got the move to the downside. Boom, boom, boom. The circled area, right, is probably what the daily 200 SMA, or maybe it is the 8 hour 200 SMA. Yeah, the 8 hour 200 SMA wanted price action to come right down to it. And we did exactly what I wanted it to do. Whenever you lose an SMA up here and they're bunched together, just like I teach my students, you pump up to it, you dump down to it. This is a known thing that the bots do. Once you learn how to trade with the 200 SMA with me, you are going to be like a magician. People are going to be like, how did this guy know how to do this, that, and that? It's going to be unbelievable. Right now, technically, we are bearish. I'd like to see this go further down and not get back inside this pattern. I want to see the dollar index start to make some type of bear flag or continue down, right? And do some type of bearish retest maybe, and then go further to the downside. But right now, we are looking bearish for the dollar, and the 3-day just started the dump that I wanted it to start, and it's going further down. I like what I'm seeing. The 4-day just getting started. The 5-day just getting ready for a massive dump for the dollar index. So this, to me, is the chickens coming home to roost. You can't continuously pump up the price. They're going to have to print so much money soon just to bail the government out, to get all the things done. It's not looking good. I see inflation continuing. They keep saying 2%. I told you I'm going to run for president, that the fact that they never will get that to 2%. I've been studying it since 2009. I'm not a fool. I've been studying inflation. I got into Bitcoin because of inflation. I was buying gold and silver before Bitcoin. It's not like I got on some digital rally. I've been just procuring my wealth, getting out of things that they print to zero, like the U.S. dollar. So the U.S. dollar doesn't look too good and looks like it's going to continue to the downside on the bigger time frames. That 5-day says we're going to take a massive dump on the USD, and that tells me that Bitcoin could have a bit of a rally, and the altcoins are already feeling it. Bitcoin was somewhat sideways, so big today, but the altcoins are so small. With this massive dump in the dollar index, the altcoins shot up today. If you've noticed, 7%, 8%, 10%, 20, 30%, altcoins are doing damage around the board. All right, this takes me to the NQ. Last week, I said the NQ was going to make a nice move back to the upside, just like the S&P. Everybody was bearish. They saw this shoulder, head, and shoulder. We're talking for a move down. I saw the bullish divergence that nobody really talked about. I watched some of the TradFi guys that I know that, that do TA, that share the screen with me. I've been on shows with them. Super bearish people, man. It's almost like they can't read divergence, so they can't see it. And that's okay. That's fine. But look, I got this swing down to swing down with this swing sideways. That's exaggerated, telling me you're going to get a move to the upside. Then on a bigger time frame, the 3-day chart, which is my go-to chart, which a lot of people don't use either, right? They don't look at the 3-day as much. I saw hidden bullish divergence. If I take this out, you swing up to swing up while the RSI is swinging down, and low stochastics tell me you're going to get a move. I also got a golden cross. I got a golden cross with hidden bullish divergence and a falling wedge and a cup and handle. I mean, I've traded altcoins that have made me massive gains in this exact way before many, many times. This made me call a long on the NQ. It's up 8.5%. I mean, that's insane. A lot of these people trade heavy leverage on the NQ. Had you taken my call last Friday and sold this Friday, you would have been in massive gains on the NQ. Like seriously, like some of the most gains you could trade. Here I gave the exact trade here with the entry at 4194. We would plow all the way ahead and continue to the upside. It bounced off the 618 golden pocket to the upside. That's the S&P. I gave this call as well. So Nasdaq and the S&P, I see both of them moving to the upside on bigger time frames. The 3-day, look at the 2-week chart, ready to boom to the upside. People that don't know how to read their charts do not understand that this is likely a bottom. This is a low, that's a high, that's a higher low. This is consolidating and getting ready for a massive move up. They are about to print money. Show me the charts and I'll show you the news. This tells me that the S&P is about to blast to the upside, and so is the NQ. Something big is brewing here. I'm telling you, every time I did this last year in October, and I said the same thing. I said a reversal for the S&P. I see a huge move coming. I saw bullish divergence on the weekly time frame. We got that reversal. I'm doing the same thing again with hidden bullish. No one's paying attention. I really don't see a lot of people bullish on the markets. Everyone is full of fear. This is when I load up. This is when I get ready and take advantage of the masses because they just cannot stay focused and disciplined and they cannot see what I'm pointing out. When moving averages get this tight, it's very likely you're going to get a move to the upside, especially what I showed you above this high volume node, above the point of control right there. That's the point of control that we just bounced off of on the NQ. So NQ looking beautiful. Measured move is a bigger measured move. First one is like somewhere in the middle, but this thing, I can see this thing getting all the way up to 61.65 not too long, in about a year's time. But this thing is about to blast, and I could be wrong. There could be a black swan. Anything can happen, but I'm telling you, man, my TA is like 95% accurate, and it is telling me that there is going to be a big move for the S&P and the Nasdaq. Bitcoin also looks like there's a rumbling coming, and the dollar is falling short. Last thing I want to talk about is the total market cap of all of cryptocurrency. It even looks a little more bullish than Bitcoin because a lot of the altcoins are getting that love. And the total market cap is all of cryptocurrency. This 4 hour looks like it's about to blast to the upside. It looks like this weekend, altcoins are about to get a little bit of a rally into Saturday night. This is telling me to open up some longs and put my stop losses right here just in case and see how many coins I can take, because this is showing me that Friday night may be the night to load up. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't think I say and do should be taking as financial advice. Do whatever makes you happy. But from what I'm seeing, this is even a little bit of hidden bullish because that swings down while that swung up. And that tells me the trend should continue to the upside. We should break this high. And we got a really nice bounce today, even though they tried to flush the market to the downside. So the total market cap, even on the 4 hour time frame, looks like we could get a bit of a rally this weekend. You just want to pay attention to that. That's something. And then Bitcoin dominance, losing the moving averages, just like the dollar. On the dollar, how it jumped down to the 8 hour. On the 3 hour time frame, I expect us to dump right now. And you lost the POC. You got a gap in the VRVP. I don't see why Bitcoin dominance does not come all the way back down here to 5270 and give the altcoins a rally this weekend. So it looks like we could get some sideways price action and a beautiful rally for Bitcoin, for the altcoins, because Bitcoin dominance is taking a move to the downside. So pay attention. This is going to be really good for the altcoins. And everybody, that is my weekly macro analysis for Bitcoin, the DXY, the Nasdaq, the S&P 500, the total market cap, and Bitcoin dominance. I hope you like this. I'm going to be doing these every single week to keep you in tune, because if you're in the nitty-gritty too much, you need to zoom out and look at the big picture. Every single week, I'm going to give that to you. Set your mind straight for the weekend so you can have a nice weekend with your family and kids and be relaxed, and everything's going to be great. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I go live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., Saturday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. I don't take days off. I haven't taken them in 1,000 days, and I'm going to continue for 2,000 more days. God bless you all. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you on the next video. Crypto is life.